Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my Facebook live stream. And today is Tuesday. Happy day. Yes, absolutely happy day. And yeah, hope you guys are doing fine. And if you guys new to this particular live stream, my name is Jimmy Cheng. I'm a professional photographer, filmmaker, and an Olympus ambassador. So this live stream is all about, yes, of course, photography, filmmaking, and Michael Four Thirds stuff, especially Olympus. Okay, enough shout out, enough promotion, self-promotion, and let's get on with today's topic. Right, I'm going to demonstrate how to use manual lenses on the Olympus OMD cameras. In fact, you know, the theory should apply to most of the digital mirrorless camera these days. So, so if you are new to, like, you know, only but menu focusing and things like that, you're a little bit wary about it, you're not familiar with it. Hopefully, in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. If you have any question, of course, you can drop a comment and I'll answer accordingly. Shall we? Let's get crack on. Let me just turn on the fan a little bit. It feels a little bit warm today for some reason. And then let's let's see. 1 second. I have my fan on. Excellent. So it's, like I said, this is totally live, not prepared, not I mean, not unprepared, but not rehearsed before. So you just have to bear with me. If there is some technical difficulties, you can't hear me for some reason, if the you can't see me for some reason, please do let me know and I'll try to fix it accordingly, because this happened so many times and before. Yeah, like I mentioned, live things, anything can happen. Good morning, Trevor, and listening only today. Well, okay, no problem. Right, it's going to be fun today. So, because I'm going to demonstrate using manual lenses on both third-party and also Olympus native lenses. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how many of you have used manual focusing before, because I know these days autofocus is really capable and very good indeed, especially on the latest EM5 Mark III and the EM1 series. They are just phenomenal. They have like eye tracking, face tracking, you know, any sort of thing, you know, that you can imagine. It's just like really good. But there are times that you will need to use manual focus, whether it's going to be for photography or filmmaking. I would say especially filmmaking, because if you know, if you're familiar and also a very experienced videographer or filmmaker, you would know that manual focusing is the way to go in terms of controlling the sense of space and you know, using like pole focus and things like that. Manual focus is always much better because you can adjust the pace and everything. Computer is getting good, getting better and better every year, but still nowhere near as a human touch. So if you're a videographer, filmmaker, manual focus obviously is something to you. So if you are new to videography, and this could be something that you may want to learn a little bit about. So okay, excellent stuff. And I can see already someone's already saying the Helios. Okay, yeah, I'm going to just bring down my little buy me a coffee link down here so I'm not blocking everybody's comments. Yes, Helios 40. I actually do have Helios 40s, although that I haven't actually have an adapter for the of Olympus. I just still stuck on my Zenith film SLRs. So morning, Craig. Wow, we've got a few people here, right? Okay, crack on then. So I'm not going to use the Pro lenses as a demonstration today. The reason why is that because if you know that most of the Pro lenses and premium lenses or the higher grade lenses in the Olympus lineup have what we call the manual clutch. Right, I don't know if you can see it. So they're just focusing here. So you can basically pull down. You can do manual focus straight away. So it's very straightforward, everything automatic, because there is electronic contact behind the lens. I'm just trying to focus it here. So you can see these little golden dots there. They are the electrical contact that will make sure that it will communicate with the camera bodies. So as soon as you pull the focus back, so automatically it enables manual focusing. So everything is just brilliantly executed in the Olympus world. However, for those lenses that doesn't have a manual clutch, you have to manually engage the manual focus through the menu. So which I'm going to show you how to do that. And also, if you so happen to have an older vintage lens or a third-party Micro Four Thirds manual lens which has no electronic contact details, and that means that you will also have to enable manual focus via the menu as well. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, because there's a few more things to do when you're having a manual lens that has no electronic contact. So you just have to bear with me just 1 second. So let me switch over to my test cam here today. So let me just switch over here. Right, okay. Hopefully you guys can see it properly and nicely at the moment. So let me just get rid of this so you can see my screen better perhaps. Right, can you guys see everything okay? Let me just bring my coffee here. My coffee. Have you guys grabbed a coffee? Hopefully today's going to be educational and informative. You know what? Yeah, today's I cannot speak properly. Okay. Right. So this is my camera at the moment. I can see that's moving. So I'm not trying to do anything at the moment. So I can see the this is exactly what you will see from my viewfinder. So this is why I love this demo here. So you can see everything live. So in terms of settings and through menu system and everything. So let's go back to my main cam for 1 second. So I just want to show you exactly what I have on my camera at the moment. So this is my live stream setup, of course. Don't worry about this bulky thing at the moment, just because I needed it to do the live demo, right? Okay, so I have the EM1 Mark III for today's demonstration, but it also work with EM5, Mark II, Mark III, and EM10, or any other thing that has menu focus capabilities. So it's very, very similar in terms of menu access and things like that. So, and also the lens in question, I'm using the 45mm 1.8 premium. And also I'll be for third-party menu lens, I will use the Laowa 9mm 2.8. So this should give you a good idea how to operate in menu lenses. Like I mentioned, I'm not using any of the pro lenses, even though I have them, because it's just too simple. You just basically pull the menu clutch back, and the menu focusing will engage automatically. So let's go back to my main screen. But anyway, by the way, if you really wondering what these big bulky thing is, let me turn it around so you can see exactly what it is. So this is this is the screen, because I need that screen to attach, because otherwise I actually can't see my setting. Because if I open up the back screen here, if I won't be able to see anything in terms of all the setting, the numbers and everything that you see on the screen. I won't be able to see that here. So I need an external screen to replicate the HDMI signal out. And to do the wireless demonstration, I have to use the HoloLens 400S, which I showed you guys many times already. And I'm really happy about this particular setup, so I can actually take you outside to my garden and do a brief talk or something. So that is pretty cool. So right, okay, let's do this today. And let me go back to my camera now. And so you can see that it's really working well here. I can do this. So of course everything's menu focused. So let's go for some menu settings, shall we? Okay, so you guys do hear me okay? Good stuff, cool. Right, okay, let me just press the menu. So if a camera hasn't got also if the lens doesn't have a menu clutch, what you first need to do is to enable menu focusing. So you either press OK on the D-pad at the back of the camera, and so you press OK. That will bring up a super control panel from the back of the camera, and immediately you can see here that you can basically use the D-pad to control where you want to go. And if you go to the middle bit, then where you will see focusing. So like of course normally you have a single AF, continuous AF, menu focus, continuous AF and tracking, pre-menu focus. You can forget about that for now, because that will complicate the whole matter. Star AF, which is Starry Sky AF, which is exclusive on the EM1 Mark III. So let's go back to menu focus. This is today's topic, right? So this is how you enable menu focusing in any Olympus camera. So once it's here, it's selected, and it's in menu focus mode. You can see that here. So that means that if you go back to the lens, if you turn the barrel, it will start focusing. So let me just show it to you right now. So if I have a lovely model here, so hopefully I can use him as my demonstration. If you turn the focusing ring, you can see that it's bringing in the focus, and there we go. Right, cool. So you can see that it's really cool, right? Okay. So let me just. You see a little bit shaking at the moment, because don't forget, the IBIS only works when you half press the shutter. So I mean, of course you can actually tweak it and make sure that it's on all the time. But if you want to save a bit of battery, you always do it when you press the shutter halfway. So like now it's a bit more stable, so you can see that it's working very, very well. So, but the thing is, when you do this, there are two things that you have to remember. Let me go back to my main cam here. So when you do that sort of menu focusing, you are not. no matter how good your screen is, yeah, and you always a tendency that you miss focus just a little bit, especially when you use a very, very fast lens or shallow depth of field lens, such as 1.2 Pro lenses or the 1.8 or 1.4 lenses, and also for macro lenses. And because you have, even the macro lenses may have 3.5 or 2.8 in the Olympus world, like the 62.8 or the 33.5, it may not sound very, very fast in terms of aperture size, but when you're shooting macro, you're so close to the subject, the depth of field is actually very, very thin. So you just have to be very careful about where you're focusing. That's why a lot of macro photographers use focus stacking, just to make sure the correct portion of the subject is in focus, so they can adjust exactly where they want to highlight in terms of sharpness and in focused areas to bring your attention to the particular photo. So in this particular case, for my little model there, and you can see that it's actually pretty sharp. If you just look and go back to the main cam here, and then you can see it's pretty sharp, pretty sharp. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, but I have no idea whether the eyes or the head is actually in focus, because every so sudden movement, you may actually miss it a little bit. So what you need to do is to enable something called the menu focus assist. Right, what that means is you can go to the menu. So I'm going to go through that now. So in the control panel, you can't really set this, but in the menu system, you can go to the the little setting icon there. So if you go back here, so like scroll back all the way down here, and in A4, come up here, you can see menu assist. Right, so you come up here, and you can say, see, everything's off at the moment, and this should be default. So what you need to do is to go in there and turn on magnify and peaking. Right, for those who don't know what peaking is, it's basically when the subject's in focus, everything's going to have sharp lines and defined edges and things like that. So when it's high contrast, these contrasty lines will be lit up as either red, green, or blue. I think that this is what sort of color you can set on the camera. And I'm going to show you in a minute, but at the moment I'm going to leave peaking off because I want to show you how just magnify works. So let's do that. So magnify is on. So if the camera, let me just go back to the main camera now. So it looks a little bit dim here. Let me just turn on the compensation a little bit more. So at the moment I'm on aperture priority, so it's just a little bit easier. So hopefully you guys can see it. Right. Okay. Oops. Maybe just a tad too much now. Go back a little bit. Right. Okay. So you can see if I turn the barrel, it will automatically magnify. So you can even see all the details. So see what I mean? Yeah. Earlier when you look at it like this, just go back there. It looks almost like it's in focus. But in fact, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see the head is actually not focused. So now you have to bring it in focus. And there you go. Now it's in focus because the 1.8 lens in this sort of distance is very, very shallow. And now I can take a shot and that will be it. So like, there you go. That's the shot. And you can see it's very, very sharp if you blow it in. Lovely. See, everything is good. So even though this little model here is very small, I'm just showing you the scale of it so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the size of the model. So you can see the hand is actually not in focus at that sort of distance. That just show you how shallow depth of field this lens is once you get close to subject like this. Okay, let me just go back in here a little bit more. All right. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is the, so you guys okay with the magnify? If not, then I'm going to go back again and do another demo. So on the, let's go to the menu and let's go through the peaking settings. So let's go to menu. So go back to menu, menu focus assist. Gosh, I can't speak today. So if I turn off magnify, because I want to do one at a time. So you know exactly what you can actually have them both on just to help you out a little bit more. So if I turn on the peaking, and then you will be able to use this. Okay, let me just see now. Okay, so if we bring it in a little bit, so at the moment it's not, okay, you see it's not in focus. So if I turn the barrel, once it's in focus, look at the, just pay attention to the lines or the edges of the subject. Right, you see that? Should be able to see, so, oh, maybe a bit too close. Right. Okay. Can you see the red on the body and the head? Probably a bit harder to see actually. I need something probably slightly better. Maybe on using my camera then. So, right, okay. Can you see the EM1X being lit in red? Got a little bit of red edges there. That means that peaking is on and showing that the text EM1X is in focus. So that's what peaking is. So if I do both, let's go back to menu and then having magnify on, this would definitely make you see a little bit better into the peaking, but it will help. Okay, let's go back to the photo itself. Oh, right. So let's go back to here. So now at the moment you can see it's not in focus. If I turn, not only it will magnify, but the peaking will also help you or let you know that which point or which part of the model is in focus. Right, let's do that now. Okay, see, when I'm turning, you will see, oh, can you see the red? I'm trying to do it one more time. Now there's the red. You can see that that bit is in focus, but if you want to focus on the head, okay, can you see this red thing that's kind of blipping up on the head when I'm turning? That means the peaking is telling you that the J and the eyes and everything is in focus. So now if I take a shot, and now everything would be in focus. Look at that. Gorgeous. That's nice. You're doing well. You're doing well, model. Okay, that's good. So let's go back to my main cam. Okay. So you see, it's very, very straightforward in terms of manual focusing on an Olympus lens. The reason why I'm saying that is because even though that the premium lens, this particular one, the 45 1.8, hasn't got a manual clutch, but because it has electrical contacts between the lens and the camera, and it communicates with each other, so everything's detected. You know, when you turn the ring, of course, the camera knows that you're turning the ring, so the automatic magnify and peaking will be on. So that is very, very critical there, because when you switch on to a, let's say, a vintage lens or a third-party mirrorless lens, such as the Laowa or Pergear, for instance, you will lose that completely. I'm going to show you show you right now. So you can see that this lens, like I mentioned earlier, hasn't got any contact. So that means that when you put the lens onto the body itself, there are two things that it doesn't know. First of all, it doesn't know that whether the lens is actually on it. That's one thing. And second is the IBIS. Right. I haven't mentioned about the IBIS because if you do have the contacts on the lens, the body would know which lens you put it on, so it will adjust the IBIS strength accordingly. So if it's a 45 millimeters, so the IBIS strength would be set to 45 millimeters, which I'm going to show you in a minute as well. And then if you put on this lens, it wouldn't know which focal length or what lens you put on it. So you have to do the IBIS setting yourself manually before you do any shit. Otherwise, you can either be undercompensated or overcompensated in terms of stabilization. So you just have to be careful. That's why a lot of people, when they use a manual lens, they totally forgot about to reset the IBIS, and they will get this jelly or really horrible jittery footage when they do video recording. So this is something that you have to bear in mind, and just remember you have to set the IBIS to the correct focal length of the lens you attach to the body. So, so let's slap this lens on. Let me just change the lens here. Right, okay, so let me just change it. And now it's on with the Laowa lens. So let me change it over here. So you can see that now I've just switched over the lens here. So now it's having the Laowa full menu, third party, no electrical contact whatsoever. So you will be able to use this lens with the setting that I do. But you have to, first of all, remember what I just said, set the IBIS yourself. So what you need to do is to either go to the menu or through the control panel, which is very straightforward. So let me just go to my B cam. So you can see that now. It's pretty cool, right? So let's go to the menu now. So you can see under the bottom left corner here, this is the stabilization setting. When you click on it, you have an option here, basically switch it off. You have MIS1, which means sensor shift and digital. You have a crop here when you have digital enabled. You can see the difference here. If you have MIS2, which is sensor shift only, you can see the angle of view will be widened just a little bit. And oh, actually off. No, sorry. So. Oh, perhaps the the actual, oh, I already set I already set the current. That's why it's no difference there. Right, okay. So if you need to change the focal length, let me just show you. Let's press info. You can see that you can actually manually adjust the numbers in terms of the focal length manually. So I can have 99 mil, you can have anything you want. 90 millimeters, so if you, in case that you want to adapt a full frame 90 millimeter lens onto the Olympus body, you can do so by doing just that. And let's go back to it. So info, you can change to, if you have 135, I know Burana has a 135, so that's what you need to do, have 135. And that will set the IBIS into 135 millimeters IBIS. So if not, you can just go back to, but this particular example here is 9 millimeters. So let's do that, 9 millimeters. This one here, the last digit is point. So like you can have 9.5. Remember, Laowa has a 7.5. This is where you set the 0.5 or the decimal places. So in this case, I have only 9 millimeters, so I don't have to worry about this one at all. So there you go. It's all set now. So now I have the correct stabilization set. So let's bring the model closer so I can show you exactly what is going on. So now remember that I have already set the camera to have automatic magnify and peaking. Well, peaking will still works because peaking is only an algorithm within the digital camera, so it sees anything that's in contrast. So, when it sees sharp lines, it will lit up. So peaking actually works automatically. So regardless whether you have any electrical contact or not on the lens, it will still work. But magnify, if you want to use it, you have to either go to the menu and actually turn it on, or you can customize one of the buttons to enable magnify yourself, which is usually my standard practice. If I use a menu, because I do use a lot of manual lenses, as you can see that I have Laowa, I have my older Leica lenses and other lenses that are fully manual. So I use those lenses. What I do is I usually customize one of the front buttons on the EM1s to enable magnify, because I do like to use magnify just in case I need to get the critical sharpness or focus within the frame, which is actually very, very important there. So let me just go to this particular screen here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So there we go. So now let's bring it in a little bit here so you can see exactly what's going on. So like if I want to magnify, at the moment if I turn, like at the moment it's out of focus. If I want to bring in focus, you can see like peaking does come on if you're just trying to get it on here. So, right, okay, there we go. So you want to do magnify, what I need to do is to have a custom button set up for magnify. So let me just turn it on because I already, oh actually I haven't set it up yet. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I actually reset everything myself so I can show you exactly what's going on. So if you want to customize a button, press menu and you can go to a custom menu B. You can see button function, yeah. So normally this is at the moment as we set everything to factory settings. So this is exactly what these buttons are at the moment. But you can let you know that customization, Olympus cameras is fantastic. You can customize anything within the camera almost. And so what happened is I customize the front button, yeah. So this is the front button I'm talking about. In EM1, Mark III, Mark II, you have two buttons in the front, so you can customize either of them. So at the moment, this one, the top button is set to custom white balance, and the bottom is the depth of field preview. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the bottom as peaking. And let's do peaking. Oh, there you go, peaking. And the top button as magnified. So I have both enabled. Right, okay, there you go. Set, done. Okay, let's go back to menu, as exit. So now it's on. So you can see that now. So if I turn, nothing happens because the camera obviously doesn't know. But then if I press the bottom button, was it the bottom button? I can't remember which one it was. I think top button is the, oh, that's the magnify. Okay, right, that's the magnify. Of course, you can change the magnifying point anywhere within the frame. So at the moment, I'm just have to probably bring it to the middle so I can see the middle. So if I press it once again, it should bring it in, the magnify. And then now you can see the focus in its full high resolution glory. So you can also change the magnification. You can see on the top bottom left corner, and it says 5 times. You can actually bring it out or bring it in further. So I think maximum is 10 times. So if I switch it on, you can go even further. This is the maximum now. This is 10 times. Oh, actually, oh, Oh, actually, this is new to me because EM10, I think EM1 Mark II doesn't go to 14 times. So EM10, EM1 Mark III does go to 14 times, so it's even like closer. But I can see that this is actually digitally magnifying. So it's not actually that sharp. You can see it's a lot of manipulations there, but that's fine. It's just enough to get you to get by in terms of checking focusing. So let's go back to 10 times. I usually use 10 times if really worry about the focusing, but 5 times is definitely more than enough in my case. So okay, let me just press on peaking as well, which is the bottom button that I customize. So if I turn on peaking, you can see everything is lit up. So that means it's in focus. Now take a shot. Okay, so that's cool. Let's go back up. So oops. Okay, let me just it's a little bit too bright. Let me just bring it down a little bit. So let's go back into magnify. Once again, there you go. Turn on peaking. I make sure everything's in focus. Now I want to focus on the hand. You can see that even with a 9mm, when you get so close to this to the subject, it still have a fairly shallow depth of field effect, as you can see. That's pretty cool, right? And let's go back to the main cam now. So far so good. Hopefully you guys are okay following so far. It's very simple in terms of operation, and once you know your way around and you customize a couple of buttons here and there, and the whole menu focusing action can be very fluent. That's how I usually use my manual lenses on the street or doing other shoots, because I use a combination of lenses depending what sort of feel I want to go for. When I do use manual focusing lenses, it's either for a specific focal length that currently Olympus hasn't got, or I simply want to go for a very vintage look. Then I'll use a very old lenses such as the Canon 85mm 1.2 FD lens, because that is a really awesome, cool lens. Although it's a lot of defects there, a lot of fringing and stuff like that, but in terms of look, the overall rendering is just out of this world. So it's like in a Helios 44, which one of you already talked about it, and I have other vintage lenses or Leica lenses, Zeiss lenses. I have a whole bunch of them. So if I want to adapt them to the Olympus body, is very straightforward. Because once you customize all those buttons, and it's a matter of just pressing them, and you have magnify and peaking and straight away. So it's very cool. And once you have also the focal length set correctly, you also have the IBIS, which is something I believe that is something that a lot of the older camera, especially photographers who use these older lenses back in the days when they use their SLRs and stuff like that, will be shocked when they mount to the Olympus camera, because you now have IBIS in all these lenses, and the experience, the actual overall operating experience is so different to the old days when you look at these lenses without any stabilization. And, this is what kind of got me into Micro Four Thirds in the first place. When I saw the stabilization working, it's just like so different. When you look through the viewfinder, it's just everything just so stable. It's just kind of weird in a way, but I'm now got used to it. I don't think I can go back to it without any IBIS, to be quite frank. So it's very simple, very straightforward. Let me just put the Olympus lens back on, and so you can see the difference once again. So if I take it off, and oops. So remember that you have to set a lot of things manually when you have a third-party lens or vintage lens that hasn't got any electrical contact. So any Olympus lenses or Micro Four Thirds lenses, for that matter, they will all have these little contacts here at the back of the lens. So it will tell the camera what sort of lenses, what sort of focal length you're using, and it will set everything automatically. So if you don't use any third-party manual lenses, you are basically set all you need to do is just to turn on the automatic magnifier or automatic peaking, or so you don't have to set anything else, because the IBIS, it will be automatically adjusted to the focal length that the lens is telling the body. So now I have these lens back on, and it's very actually let me use a pro lens to show you how easy when you do have the menu clutch. So let me just show it to you. So let me just change it to the which one should I try? Okay, let me use the 17mm 1.2 lens here, so you can see the shallow depth of field, or the feather bokeh, if you don't know what that is. It is really nice. Okay, let me just go to the 17 here. Morning, Kevin. And so let's see now. Right, now I have the 17mm 1.2 Pro attached, so you can see it's a much bigger system now. And so the manual clutch is straightforward. You can see it here. You can pull back, and everything, once you pull back, like I mentioned, it's automatic. So let me just show it to you straight away. So let's go back to my demonstration cam. And right, so you can see that where it's going. Let me just turn it to 1.2. Let's get maximum bokeh. Bokeh! Right, okay, let's go back to the super control panel. I just need to show you how automated it is. So at the moment, remember, we set it to manual focus. So if I set it back to autofocus or continuous focus, anything apart from manual focus, when you pull the manual clutch back, the system knows exactly what you did, and it will go back to manual focus once you pull the ring back. So you don't have to even touch the menu button or super control panel, nothing. All you need to do is just pull back the lens. So this is exactly what I'm going to show you now. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull back the lens. So you can see that at the moment it's in it's in autofocus mode. So if I pull back, so everything AF, right? Okay, so if I pull back, is in now manual focus. You see, even magnifier turns on straight away. So you can see on the left hand side of the screen, you can see that it's actually manual focus as soon as I pull back the manual clutch. If I pull it back forward again, now it's back to autofocus. So everything now is in autofocus. Let me just see if I can bring out the information here. Oh, hang on, there you go. So now it's in autofocus. See, now it's in autofocus. So see, it's how quickly it snaps focus. So if I pull back the manual clutch once again, now it's become manual focus. So because I set magnified in the peaking automatically in the menu, so if I go back to the menu, so go back to the menu assist, everything is on. So this is automatic, yeah? And also when you see here, this is where the manual clutch operates. So you can actually set it off. So which means that when you pull back the lens, it doesn't do anything. But I always leave it on because I do use manual focus a lot, and I think the manual clutch is by far one of the most innovative inventions and an idea from Olympus. And now Panasonic is starting to copy it now, and but it is a very, very cool thing to do. So let's go back here. So now it's in manual focus because I pulled the ring back. As soon as you touch it, and it just goes to magnify and peaking straight away. Let me just focusing on my little model here. So you can see the peaking is already on. Can you see the little red dot there? Right. So if I turn, if you don't want the magnify so big, you can actually bring it back out. So let's say that if you don't want to magnify, just turn the back dial. You can actually select to change the magnifying again. So like 3 times the minimum when you have magnify on. You can, of course, like I mentioned, you can have 5 times, 7 times, 10, and 14. That's a little bit crazy, to be honest. Okay, so you can see that all the detail in the belly. Wow, cool. So let's take a shot like this, and let's go to there. The eyes. Ooh, I think it's a bit too much. I'm still more used to 5 times magnification. Right. Okay, that's good. Good enough. Let's take a shot of you. And remember, you can change the actual magnifying point. So if I do magnify, so you can actually move using the D-pad or the joystick on the EM1 or the EM1X to move these magnifying points. So you can actually change it. So I can, when you're turning, you can actually change it again. So move it down, move it left and right using the D-pad, so you can check anywhere within the viewfinder, which is actually pretty cool, right? So you can do that. And let's take a shot once again. Now it's in depth focus. So yeah, gosh, look at that feather bokeh kicking in. That's awesome. All right, okay, cool. Let's go back to my main cam. And what do you guys think? It's actually good, right? I think the automation from Pro lenses, especially the manual clutch, is definitely something, and that's why they are Pro lenses, because they implemented that. But having said that, the 12mm the 12mm f2 lens, or some of the premium lenses, also have the manual clutch, because like this one here, you can see this is the 12mm f2 here. It also has a manual clutch. You can pull back, yeah, you can do that, become the manual lens. And also really good is that once you pull back, yeah, you can actually see the distance scales in the lens. So it just transform your auto focus lens straight into an old school manual lens, which is something that I truly love about these particular type of Olympus lenses. And most of my pro lenses have this, and also this one. That's why I love this lens. And the 17mm 1.8. Also has the manual clutch, not the 25, not the 45. Unfortunately, they are the slightly cheaper alternative, but they are still, as a premium lens, still a 1.8 lens. Just the constructions, they are fully plastic, so the 12 and the 17 are both metal lenses, and I think that's probably why they can implement the manual clutch, because obviously they need certain rigidity within the barrel to make sure this works okay and in a more durable way. So this is why I think they are really good, very, very good. So let's see what Mark said. You didn't know that you can actually change the magnifier. Yeah, I think the 14 is definitely a little bit too much, and you can, yeah, like I mentioned, you can change the magnification very, very easily by, when you're magnifying, you can actually turn the back dial and change the magnification. So for me, I usually use 5 times. I think 10 is maximum that I would use. 14 is just a little bit too much, and sometimes you just lose the sense of the focal length you're actually doing, and that could be a problem when you're composing a photograph, unless it's set on tripod, so you're not moving. But once you are like mobile, you're not, the camera is not on a tripod or steady surfaces, and you may run in trouble like by moving in or out a little bit, trying to get in focus. And I'm telling you, it happens. So if you don't want to do that and changing the composition while doing the magnify, make sure that you use a lesser magnifier and magnification. So use either going to be 3 times or 5 times, definitely not 10 times or 14 times, and they're just way, way too much. 14 times would work, or 10 times would work very well, like I mentioned, on tripod for macro shots, macro photography. So because everything is static, you're not really changing anything. So in that case, you can punch in really close to make sure the bits that you want to focus, or at least the starting point of the focusing, is exactly where you want. So that's why the magnifier is very important. And in fact, people did ask me about, can you really use manual focusing on the street? Let's say if you do want to do street photography, or even in weddings, a very demanding and constantly changing environment. I said, yeah, of course, and it's not, to be honest, it obviously will be slower compared to auto-focusing, especially with the latest crop of Olympus camera, when they have face tracking, eye detection. These are really cool stuff. It will be slower, but once you get used to the whole operation in terms of customization, having what I said to you about the front buttons, I set it to magnify and peaking. The 2 buttons at the front is really, really, really quick. And so once you slap on the manual lens, all I need to do a couple of things, bam, I can get the thing in focus within a couple of seconds, and I can do the shot. Because once you get into the routine of using manual lenses, any sort of micro movement that you can adjust just a little bit on the fly, I'm pretty sure that you can get away with it. This is one other beauty about Micro Four Third, is that we do have a slightly bigger depth of field to play with. So even if you move it slightly, you can almost get away with it without too much impact in terms of the critical focusing. Unless you are, of course, shooting at a much longer lenses or closer lenses, such as the macro or the 45 or even 75 1.8. In that sort of instances, yeah, any slight movement could result in slightly blurred picture. So I think it's the give or take, depending on situations. But in terms of street, documentary stuff, landscape, I can get a manual focus lens working really, really quickly. Yeah, so that's not a problem. So if any problem, let me know. So if you have any trouble getting it to work, also let me know. You can message me anywhere you want, either through my private messaging or through the comments down here, or you can just email me. Remember, emailing me is also good as well. So people have been emailing me. So let me get my let me just see where it is now. And okay, there we go. Let me take it back on. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Oh dear me. I have no idea where I put everything is. And okay, let's leave that on. So, any problem? Any question? Is everything okay? Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's live demonstration. And let me just see if anything else I have right here. So you want to see that photo, I'll just show you that photo once again. And so you can see the photos right here. That was what I took earlier. And you can also see the other one that I took earlier. So this is the 9mm f2.8 Laowa 0D. Like, in terms of optical quality, this lens is really something. And this is the 45 1.8. So people said that we can't get depth of field. I think they might have to think twice. You know, like I mentioned like so many times about photography is, you know, because you're operating with a micro four third, it's a different format altogether. So like it's always gonna be difficult. You can't really compare a 45mm as an equivalent term, which is 90mm. So you can't really compare a 45 to a 90 in full frame. I know in terms of equivalence, they are the same angle of views and also the actual look and feel of it, supposedly. But you are comparing two different lenses here. One is 45, regardless what format it is. One is 90mm, so it's always going to be different. The only way you can actually compare it together as well is you compare a 90mm in a micro four third and a 90mm on a full frame. But then if you want to really truly compare it, crop the full frame into that same micro four third view to view, then you see that they are actually exactly the same. So as a photographer, you just have to adapt to using a smaller format, whether it's going to be APS-C or micro four third, to adjust the distance between you and the subject to the background. Everything is manipulable. You can achieve almost identical shots between micro four third to full frame in terms of depth of field and things like that. All you need to do is just work on the distance a little bit. But once you adjust to it, being a micro four third photographer, and then you can actually do anything that you wish as any other system, whether it's going to be media format, whether it's going to be full frame, is no difference. I know that there will be subtle aesthetical differences depending on how you take the shot, you know, because obviously full frame or larger format like medium format will have shallower depth of field regardless. Yes, that's true because of the given physics, and that means that if you, let's say, taking a wider shot, a 35 1.4, so if you're using that particular focal length shooting at 1.4, you would definitely get more pop compared to a 35mm equivalent, which means in micro four third terms is either going to be 17mm in Olympus or the other one on the Panasonic. Even if you set it in 1.2, you won't get the same pop compared to the full frame. So you will get that sort of differences there if you're really shooting it at exactly the same kind of distance and things like that. Like I mentioned, you have to adjust and be able to compensate in terms of distance between you and the subject and the subject to the background to compensate that. So if you just standing at the same spot, taking the same photograph of the subject using two different lenses in two different formats is always going to be different. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, cool stuff. And oh well, yeah, of course. Do they actually have autofocus and endoscope? Because I'm actually, obviously I'm not a medical expert, so you have to let me know, Mark, if you know. Seems that you know about endoscope, so that would be something that you can let me know, right? Okay, cool stuff. And so I've finished my live demonstration. Hopefully you guys enjoy the whole process, and it's not too complicated. It's actually very straightforward and not too complicated to understand. So I've showed you all the steps I've done for myself on the camera in terms of like the customization for the front buttons to do certain actions such as magnify and peaking. And also, if you do have the automatic features enabled, if you have the Olympus native lenses, whether it could be pro lenses or the premium lenses or even kit lenses, once you turn the focus ring, you should be able to have these automatic features enabled, so long you put in the super control panel at the back to enable the manual focus, or if you have the manual focusing clutch, just pull back the manual focusing clutch, and all those features will be there for you. If not, remember, if you have a third-party manual lenses such as Laowa or Pergear or any other lenses, or including vintage lenses, if you want to have the same features, you have to go to the super control panel. First of all, set the IBIS. Remember, set the IBIS manually to have the correct focal length, so you have the right IBIS compensation for the correct focal length of your lens first. then you have to customize or enable the features that I mentioned manually through the super control panel or through the menu system. But best of all, you just set the or customize a couple of buttons to do those actions that I mentioned, would make your life a lot easier and a lot quicker to operate in manual lens. So there you go. Excellent, good stuff. No problem then. All right, excellent stuff. So I will end my live stream today, and thank you for joining me, and hope you guys enjoyed today's live demonstration. I know it's a little bit static subject because my subject is very static. It doesn't move, and not as pretty as, you know, Sally or Charlie or Zohar for that matter. And but at least he doesn't move. You know, he stays there all the time, and then like this pose, he can stay in this pose like for 10 years, so he doesn't really move. So that's all right. Okay, hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, by the way, tomorrow, Wednesday is Wednesday, right? It's the day of the week because I have 2 streams going on tomorrow. First of all, it's the normal daily live stream that I'm running like today in the morning between 11 to 11:30 a.m. BST London time, and then after that in the afternoon 3 p.m. BST in London time, I'll have my YouTube live. Tomorrow is going to be an interesting topic again. I'm going to be talking about Canon. Yeah, sounds a bit weird, right? Stay tuned for my announcement. I already kind of mentioned it already in the community post. If you haven't seen my community post on my YouTube, go and check it out. And so I'm going to announce the live stream later on today, so you will see the icon pop up. So stay tuned, put on the bell notification if you haven't already. And yeah, make sure that you follow me as well, and on all my social stuff. Let me put on my social stuff. There you go. Oh no, that's my email. Strange stuff, you know, my social stuff seems to disappear. Okay, there we go. That's my social. All right, okay. Now you can email me if you've got any question, like I said earlier. Let me just bring it a little bit smaller. So follow me there, and you'll see all the latest announcement from me. And yeah, happy shooting, guys. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow, and have a good day. Do whatever you like. The sun is definitely shining out there. If you're not working, have a nice barbecue. See you later. Bye for now.